Hello and welcome to Momentum Office Hours. My name is Yash, and I'm joined by my co-founders Harsh, Jai, Kaushik to discuss topic of the week, which is UX for product-led growth. Our goal is to provide you with actionable insights and practical strategies that you can apply to your own products. Throughout the session, we encourage you to engage with us by asking questions and sharing your thoughts. This is a fantastic opportunity to learn from each other and gain new insights. These insights they can help you drive your SaaS initiatives forward as well. So let's get started. Jai, Harsh, Kaushik, how are we doing today?
Of work, but like always. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, doing
Awesome.
great. Have back-to-back
We
meeting and now ready for the office
are
hours.
doing this office hours. We're doing this live, and so let's see what happens, right? So we are we're here to talk about for product led growth, right? So firstly, like what according to you is product led?
So I'll go first. So product-led growth. So you have sales-led growth, product-led growth. You have two types in which you can categorize them. In product-led growth, the product experience how the user experiences the product decides the entire selling of the product for the future state. You can take it like that. So previously in sales-led growth, you have to sign up with there's a salesperson who's taking you giving you the demo and making you understand about the product. In product-led growth, there is no salesperson. The product itself is doing the selling part and making you understand about the product, and the user goes through the entire experience and then understands about the product, and then tries to upgrade. If he finds it useful, he upgrades and then goes for it.
Jai, Harsh,
Yeah,
what do you think?
yeah. I mean,
Because I
Kaushik.
disagree, but I'll
Okay,
come to my opinion in a bit.
Uh,
okay. I believe, yeah, fairly similar thought process. I also have with respect to that. So earlier, marketing team used to bring salespeople, bring leads to salespeople. Salespeople used to bring it to product, and then the journey was linear. But now it's more about product in itself has to sell its own on its own, and so having those features incorporated inside the product, where it in itself gets more and more users and eventually customers is what product-led growth is all about.
Hmm, interesting.
Yeah. So we can say product in product-led growth, the product is itself is the salesperson of our own product. So
Okay.
so that our product is the one when anyone can come to a product. Then after in we can make our journey of the sign up, onboarding, and then after some features explaining, and then after when they will do each one by one every stage, the product itself giving the best user experience to the our user, and in this way they will then in this way we can we will give the best experience to our users.
Correct. So here's so great points, and so then I have a disagreement here, and I hope I'm wrong, because here's what I understand with product led growth, right? So I think what the three of you have described is self-serve, or self-onboarding, or essentially marketing-led growth, right? Which is not sales-led growth. So a person is not onboarding, um, your website and your blogs, and then your sign-up journey, and then your drip campaigns, and then tours, and then checklists, and self-serve, like self-upgrade. All of those things are happening. And in that I would define as self-serve. However, I would define product-led growth is where the product is not necessarily a salesperson. A product is also a marketing person, right? So it is not just in process of converting people, but it is in process of bringing new people in as well, like so making more people aware. So an example of that, an example of a great PLG strategy, like the OG, like the first PLG strategy that the world ever saw, was was the one that Hotmail had, right? So we don't use Hotmail. I mean, most people don't use Hotmail anymore, but Hotmail was like my white beard will showcase that Hotmail. I've used it, and Hotmail was the world's first free email, and so which implies that there was a time when people used to pay for email. for personal emails also. So Hotmail was the world's first free email, and so every email that Hotmail that people use to send using Hotmail, it would have one small line at the end which just said, send via Hotmail, get your free email now, right? And so all the and this is something that everyone has then adopted. So if you're on a free plan of Mailchimp or MailerLite or any of the email marketing systems, you'll see they'll make sure that if you're on the free plan, you are essentially marketing their product to whatever subscribers, contacts, friends, whoever it is that you are emailing this out to. So I'd say that PLG is not necessarily restricted or only in conversion of people who have signed up or people who are coming in, but it is also in like bringing new. I have a couple more examples also, but what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, so it's similar to this example, right? For example, when you were talking about Hotmail, the product-led experience leading to not just conversions, also leading to the sort of referral about that product itself to other people. I think PayPal also tried to do that at one point, where they introduced this entire referral system itself, where someone the user who's an active user who has already converted can refer PayPal to another person that they know, because there's nothing like word of mouth about a product. Because if you have all the great products that we know of, it's most of the time you heard about it from your peer or from some friend or someone. They told you about that product, right?
And they were mostly bragging about it.
Yeah, they're mostly bragging about it.
Like, I know about this product that you don't know about this product.
Exactly. And you are like, there's a sudden FOMO, and you're like, no, I have to check it out. I have to see what it is. So that entire factor happens in PLG, right? So that's where the product experience becomes a significant factor.
Also plays a big role.
Yeah.
I mean,
so we can say, when we were in college, right? At that time, we have some nearby app for free recharge, right? So they will give very good offers. It's like if you refer someone else, then you will get this amount, or you can get this coupon code. So we can say this is one of the example of product-led growth. The product itself is one type of sales. They also do the marketing. We are the marketing people for them.
Yeah, so it is basically like building referral systems within a product is one of the key PLG motion thing that most companies do. But coming to and so there are a lot of examples in B2C, right? So as an example, like WhatsApp had PLG, and almost like most B2C companies have had PLG in some way, shape, or form, because a lot of social networks, right? So they would build a network that will bring in more people, and the more people who come in, they'll bring in more people. But in context of SaaS, like, have you come across any other, like, apart from referral is given, but apart from that, like, any other journeys that you've seen where the product is also acting not just as a salesperson but also as a marketing?
So we have multiple. So in SaaS, we have seen HubSpot doing that, and we have seen. One is, at what stage are they trying to do it? That's also very important. Some try to do it in acquisition stage itself, in the first onboarding set itself, and once the onboarding is done, and then there is this other stage where at the time of the free trial period time, or there is actually this brings up, we have to talk about the two models that exist within that, right? For example, there is the free trial period time. There's also the freemium aspect of it. In freemium aspect, we have seen products like, for example, Figma, let's take as a tool. In Figma, like there are certain aspects of Figma which are free to use for as long as you can to its fullest potential. But then after a particular point of time, when you wanted to use it, you have to upgrade to premium, because you absolutely have the necessity of Figma as a designer to do it. And at that point of time, like, the value of the product has hit me so much that I do talk about the product as a person itself to every possible designer. I still remember when I started, there was XD, and people were slowly transitioning towards Figma. And there was Sketch also, the OG
Yeah.
Sketch. So there was that also.
Sketch.
Yeah, I don't know who uses Sketch, but yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, one thing that Figma cracked very well is about there were a lot of aspects of XD that was in only available in premium version, but
Yeah.
Figma tried to keep it, in free version, and
Yeah.
only when you excessively use it, you need the premium version.
Yeah.
So that is a good way. Now, the fact that I was able to experience very important aspects in free version, I did talk about it to others, saying that, hey, you know what, you won't get that in XD or in in Vision. You can do it in
Correct.
Figma. So
Correct.
it's also about how the value of the product is positioned at what stage of the product, and then how you use that value itself to when user understands the value, they will talk about it, or you
Yeah.
yourself can figure out a way to promote it within the product. So Figma is one good example of how someone did it.
Yeah, I also we also implement the example in client joy. So in client joy, we have proposals, and we if we send a proposal to our client, right, or other if we share our invoice to our clients, right, once they accept a proposal or once they paid the invoice, right, so after they paying,
Yeah.
the customer does not know, okay, what is the client joy, right, but once they accept, we will say, okay, how was your experience with client joy, right? So this is
Yeah.
a one way where we share how our experience with client joy to our customer. And once if they like the our portal or the user experience of accepting the invoice or proposal, so they will also check the client joy. So this is the same things which we have implemented in client joy too.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, right? So we were with that implementation, we were actually double dipping, right? So I tell you what we were doing. So within the product, so let's say I'm the premium customer of ClientJoy, and Harsh is my client, and I'm using ClientJoy to send out an invoice. As soon as he pays the invoice, the screen that he lands onto says, you know, I hope you had a great time. How smooth it was paying this invoice. If you also want to send invoices that are this smooth and this beautiful, consider signing up to client. Right. So one, that is something that we did. But the double dipping piece is that if I as an agency didn't want my customers to find out that I was using ClientJoy to send out the invoice, I had to buy an add-on, which was a custom branding add-on, right? So the custom branding add-on, so it's basically the right to remove ClientJoy's branding from anywhere.
Yeah.
So you're like, hey, if you're buying the add-on, it's okay. It's okay if you don't bring us new customers. You're sort of double dipping at that time. But I think Jay, you were also saying something.
Yeah. Just adding to that, branding, I was just mentioning the name that, in branding, we did the same thing. I mean, there are a lot of examples which other SaaS companies are also adopting the same way. They basically have second or third tier where, they have the similar model of removing powered by the
Yeah.
brand name so that they can upscale on the same. In fact, talking about product-led growth, there is one more great example that OpenAI has also implemented right recently, where if you're using ChatGPT free version, that is 3.5, and it initially gives you both version for limited number of prompts, and then
Yeah.
it stops it and says that your GPT-4 access is limited right now, for you will be able to use it in next 30 minutes. But if you want to use it now, upgrade to plan. So in itself, it's selling and talking about the same.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
Yeah. So this was just bringing to one question for Kaushik. That what UX metrics do we prioritize, while measuring the success of PLG strategy?
So with respect to PLG strategy, one thing that as a metric, as well as with respect to the overall thought process, one needs to keep in mind from UX perspective is that you need to give the value of your product to a user as quickly as possible. Okay, so and because there's always another option in their mind, and so you are here to convince them in as quick as possible. So things like reducing the friction at acquisition stage itself, that's very important. So that's where how quickly you onboard your client into the product, and how less of an onboarding tutorial or onboarding or a learning curve they need to understand the product, that needs to be minimized, right? So that is an important rate. Then there is a time to value rate. So for example,
Yeah.
time to value rate, to define it basically is that um, every product is a tool, and for them to understand the value of using that tool, how quickly are you able to make them understand that? Now that time to value decides your product experience with respect to, are you going to decide over having a freemium model, or are you going to give them a 14-day trial period or a 30 a particular trial period for them to understand the value of the. And then comes with respect to the acquisition rate, the conversion rates, and as well as the churn rate. Understanding both of them are also important, right? So conversion rate, because one thing that we have to understand here is that the time a user is using your tool or your product without paying for it is you from business perspective, you're spending money to still make them
It
use
costs,
it.
like there are server costs,
Yeah.
salary costs, all of it, it costs.
Yeah. So for you, it's so you have to make the experience in such a way that this conversion happens quicker and faster, right? So that's why while I was talking the first, I was saying that product experience in product-led growth, product experience dictates the business in a way. Conversion rates and also churn rate also. So minimizing the churn rate. And then one aspect that many people that I've seen not giving so much attention to is uh, looking at converted set of users, how they are using the application. Because I think in most of the cases, I mean 80%, 80% of your revenue is going to come from 20% of the users who
20%
got
of the customers
who got converted. So it's very important to understand what made them convert, and also to make sure that they don't leave also. So both of these aspects. So keep these reducing the churn rate, increasing the conversion rate, and reducing the friction at the the acquisition stage itself. These three are very, very, very important, and these three are the stages where you'll find most of them get it wrong. So and where you have to do most of the experiments happening. So
So
please.
Kaushik, if we want to increase a retention of user, right? So what are the strategy that we can follow in?
So there are two kinds of users with respect to this, and so you should always start from the user's perspective, right? Your aim is to make them understand, to convert them into an active user, and it is about, you'll see a lot of SaaS products as well as do this very common thing is that there will be basic set of controls and basic set of usages that would be wrong. For example, let's say while you are building the product, you would have had a certain way you would have built it, but most of the times you would forget how it is for the first time user to use it. So you had 10 options, so you would have given it in a drop down, and probably the eighth option is what the user wants, but that is inside a drop down hidden. How would he go there? So the UX alternative would be like, can I replace the drop down with a tab where it's obviously visible for me, and such that I can quickly reach out to it. One interesting measure from UX perspective that you could take for converting a normal user into an active user is giving them what they need as soon as possible. And to give them what they need as soon as possible, you need to make sure that most of the options are more accessible and more easily reachable. And there is laws of locality in UX that we talk about, where when a user is looking out for something, it should be there at that particular place. And when a user is looking out for a particular action, and what is the user trying to do with your platform, and what information does he need to do that particular task, and what all actions does he need to do with respect to that particular task. All these things should be together, and if they are at different places, then obviously the activation rate will get affected, because at the end of the day, it's a tool, and if I'm not able to achieve my task with that particular tool, then obviously it will affect the user.
And I have an interesting thing to share. I tweeted about this yesterday. I was making, so we use Google Workspace at Momentum Vintage. And I was making a payment of like, I think it was what, $50-$60 or something like that, to Google. And I was like connected the bank and everything. And so then when I go to connecting, like choosing the bank page, the drop down of all the banks was so that was not sorted. So So one, I couldn't like type on my keyboard and find the bank. So that option was disabled. So I had to manually scroll,
Yeah.
and that is not
Check.
even alphabetically sorted.
Yeah.
So there's just
God.
like my bank could be anywhere, and like there are more than 200 banks that they were integrated with.
Yeah.
So I'd say this is extremely important. I mean, I know that this is not what you meant, but it just
No, it
uh,
is. So
yeah,
that's exactly what I was trying to make a point. If the user is frustrated about a tiny task that he's doing,
Yeah.
that will definitely
yeah,
affect the retention.
Returns. Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it frustrated me enough to tweet about it
Yeah.
um, to,
Exactly.
to all of my 54 followers. So, but it frustrated me, right? So it is just so painful
Yeah.
that I locate my bank by scrolling and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And so the other piece is like another example of a great UX for PLG. And like if you look at it from the SaaS context a little bit, which is where the user might not necessarily be the customer. So the person, like the entity that is paying, is different from the person who's using. And there could be different types of users at different hierarchies who need different amounts of access, and you, in most cases also get different unit of value from the product, right? So as an example, think of a sales CRM where the sales head gets value from analytics, while the salesperson gets value from reminders or something like that, right? Or sequences or whatever. So it's like different parts of your product are appealing to different position or different designation in an organization, and like the people who are paying for it is like the procurement team or something like that, right? Who have absolutely nothing to do with sales. And so in those cases, like one of the PLG motions that I've seen really well implemented was the bottom up approach that Airtable implemented. Right? So which is essentially where if you signed up to Airtable, you can use Airtable for free forever. It will come with its own custom brand, it will come with its Airtable branding and stuff like that. Certain features are available, certain features are not, and all of those things. Right? Some restrictions. You're still able to experience the product fully. However, typically Airtable's value comes from other people who are also able to see the same data that you are seeing, right? And they are also able to play around with the tables and whatnot. So one of the really cool things that they did was that if I signed up to Airtable and if I invite Harsh, I get $10 in my Airtable wallet. And so now Harsh is also on Airtable. And then if he invites you, he gets $10 in his wallet, and so on and so forth. Ultimately, all of that money is pulled and becomes part of the workspace wallet. But what that does is that now, if so, let's say I am the person who has to make the payment for Airtable. But if someone from our team, like an intern from our team, found a great use case for Airtable, invited like 15 people from the office over the next like 10 weeks or whatever, and then all of them started using Airtable, and then when it comes to my desk for approval, what I'm seeing is that okay, 15 people are using this software. There's, let's say, whatever $200 in the workspace account, and this is the value that people at different hierarchies are already getting from the software. And so all of my objections internally while making a purchase decision of a software are fairly, like, because I'm thinking I'm still going to get like a 2 month trial of premium Airtable trial, right? And the buy-in of the company is already there because 15 of them are already using it.
Yeah.
And so that I think was a great implementation where like I'm saying small feature, it must have been complicated implementation because you have to also integrate your payment gateways and building a wallet system and all of that. But compared to the software in general, like the size of Airtable in general, very small implementation in that context. But the purchase journey that they've been able to sort of culminate into one place is really cool there. So just wanted to sort of share that as an example also. That's interesting. So yeah, Jay.
Yeah, just saying that's really interesting. I mean, for sure. But this also brings me to the next question. Like, since there's a big trend with respect to SaaS companies switching to product-led growth at this point of time, and there's a lot of talk while we see in the communities, right?
Yeah.
if anyone could share, what would be, most challenges, and if Kaushik you would like to jump in and say about what are the main UX challenges that these companies face while transitioning to a product-led growth.
First is understanding about what model to get into, because that also influences the UX. Like I said, they are choosing. Are you going to have freemium model or the 14-day trial model, or are you going to have a combination of both, a hybrid version of both?
Yeah.
Those things, and that decides the how much value are you going to provide. Is there time bound for it? Are you going to give all the features within that particular time, and then ask them to. You'll see in a majority of the SaaS products which have AI as its aspect, you'll see a lot of credit based system happening, right? So where you have this much amount of credits to experience the value of what the product can offer you, and then once the credit is done, you are obviously so used to using the product that you have to upgrade.
Yeah.
So one UX, there are a lot of aspects, but one important thing that two important aspects is that one is onboarding aspect is very very important, as well as the trying to make sure even personalizing the product is also very very important. Just like how Ash pointed out, there's always a cohort of people who are using your product, and they all fall under one single cohort, but their usage is different within the product.
Yeah.
So now, when you do not personalize a product, what happens is that one has to search for what they want within the product, and even after they're finding that particular aspect, something that what someone else uses will be still there on the beside or in some or the other. So personalization of in UX is also very important, and integrating personalization within the onboarding is a great strategy. So you choose what is your use case, or why you are here to use a particular product, and then the entire application, adapting to that and giving you just the set of tools and services which are there within that, and using that helps to. So here two things are happening, right? One is the person is able to enter the product easily. Second is the person is able to use the product in exactly the way he wanted. That helps in activation. So you're trying to achieve both at the same time. So that is a very good initial strategy to go for, whoever is trying to move from one motion to another motion.
Yeah. So, Kaushik, in onboarding, right? So there are many websites to onboard our user. Such like we have one list of checklists, right? Where they will complete the checklist so that they will know what other features are available in your product. So in other way, we can say there is a one type of walkthrough. When user can click on each button or each settings, then they will see what other things are available. Or in somehow we can say we are displaying some case studies, or we can say the onboarding videos where the other persons can explain what other features are available. So what do you think, what is the best way, or what are the pros and cons of this strategy of onboarding?
So I have a very, unpopular opinion with this. I'll tell you. So the thing is that at least the basic usage of the product, the user shouldn't go through a learning curve. I mean, then it means that there is something wrong with the UX there. So the main, if you need a guiding tutorial within the product to teach them about how to use it, you don't see a guiding tutorial of how to use ChatGPT. There is a chat box, you type it comes out.
Yeah.
So good UX should be like there's a really good book on UX design called as "Don't Make Me Think."
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I think it's something, if anyone is watching this, they have to check that book. So one of the major factors that that book talks about is that it's very is that good interaction is no interaction. So
Yeah.
so
Zero UX products.
yeah. So good interaction is no interaction. From that means from UX, from the user perspective, he doesn't have to think much about how to use that particular product. But there are later aspects of the product which could need that guiding tutorial. Let's say your application is about mind mapping, and the user shouldn't need a guide about how to mind map. The user might need a guide about how to probably there are other aspects to the mind map, like for example how to change the color of the mind map, or how to change the how to edit the mind map, how to nest one mind map inside. So these aspects could be there. But how to connect one mind map to another mind map if you need a user,
Should just be intuitive.
Yeah, it should be intuitive. Exactly. That's the right word. So there's a very good example of this. When Google Maps came in for the first time, I don't know how many of you remember this. Google Maps used to showcase the whole globe.
Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, like it used to showcase the whole Earth, basically, the starting. Then slowly, if you see the current Google Maps, it shows your location. It
Yeah.
shows what all, on the side, what
places.
all places around you, nearby restaurants, nearby this thing. What do you think this is? So this is basically they are thinking from the user perspective and saying that these could be the options that user might click on.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to click on. I don't want him to go and search nearby restaurant near me.
Yeah.
Instead, can I nudge him a little bit about what Google Maps can do? So that's why you have that entire left panel giving you all those options. So similarly, you nudge the user just enough to know about what basically this product does. Then all the extra elements, for example, if I have to attach a note to going back to that mind map example, attach a note to a mind map or anything that's little more than what the basic usage is, that could have the tutorial. And the better what is the better version within that is always depending on the product. There's no one common rule book or playbook for this. I think for example, certain products that have a much more larger usage and larger learning curve definitely need an entire documentation set where there's much more detailed videos of how how you could use it. But if your product is about something, you come here, you create something, then you publish it. If it's finishing within a certain steps, then a simple the first step, second step, third step process would work. But that is something that you would obviously be experimenting upon multiple times to arrive at the right thing. There's no one playbook here, but the first part is sure what I just said.
Yeah.
Like it should be intuitive.
Yeah, so we can say somehow if in any product, if there are 2 or 3 main features, then it will be product in such a way that the product itself is serving, right? But if in any product there are such like the 10, 20, 12 features, which are main features of product, right? And it's not possible to users can understand the features automatically, right? So at that time, it will be good if we have some checklist or some tutorial videos.
Yeah. And also, like, it's also about priorities. So which features or which aspects of the product you prioritize first, and then comes the later set of prioritization. So there's only so much room in the screen. You can't show everything at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
So so you can't. And also there is this. I always say this thing about even in web design for that aspect, and also inside a product also is that think of your product as a bunch, it's a whole bunch of information, and among this information, certain information is actionable information that you can take some action upon.
Yeah.
Right now, I can't just put everything inside one screen. So you have to give it in a very digestible way. So you give one after the other. So and that's much more easier and that's why I use the word digestible way, right? So such that the user, it's intuitive. He's slowly
able to
going
consume.
through. Yeah, he's able to consume it one after the other and use it one after the other and figure out things one after the other.
So I'll tell you this sort of brings me back to Jai's question also, right? So I think the best example of a zero experience product that exists out there was the glove that Thanos had. So like just do this and look at the amount of interaction that Thanos had to do and look at the impact that it was able to create, right? So like the disproportionality of that, right? But just coming back to Jai's question a little bit, right? Which is primarily, I agreed with what Kaushik was saying in terms of thinking about it from the user standpoint and giving them checklists and information in the digestible way. However, I think that if a company is moving from a sales-led approach to a product-led approach or a product-led growth strategy, all of UX has to be done from scratch, right? Because
Yeah.
Because if it's a sales-led approach, then information is not given in a digestible way, because there's a person who's there
Yeah.
who's going to onboard and explain, and 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 actually there's like this is a dark part of a SaaS company also, which is where a SaaS company also makes money teaching how to use their own product. Right? So there's some small incentive in making it a little more complicated than it needs to be if it's a sales-led approach already. And so if you directly move from a sales-led approach to a product-led growth, just the onboarding is not going to fix it, because all the other journeys are done as if there's a person who has explained it, and um, it's just not possible. That this, by the way, brings us to the last part of the conversation. Is there anything that anyone wants to share, or
No,
um,
to add to this that I was just this actually I can correlate very well because I was just finishing up one of the courses that I was learning for one of the
yeah.
new SaaS products which is trending for AI enrichment for leads.
Mhm.
So I can understand that yeah, it's just the learning
Yeah,
curve in itself. There's a whole course behind it and a
correct.
whole
And so
community.
they'll make some sort of something from out of that, right?
Yeah,
So and if not, even if they don't make, right, it's still a loss to you, because you have to invest so much amount of time in learning a piece of software. But thank you everyone for joining in. People who are watching us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you are, thank you for joining in. We have our lives of going back on calls and designing interfaces on Figma and reaching out to prospects and building great engineering solutions and deploying that on servers in a scalable fashion, and all of those things to get back to.
Yeah.
So we will have to take your leave. Um, but thank you everyone for joining in, and we'll see you again next week. Yeah.
Great.
yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
See
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.